Welcome to another episode of the Noles Podcast. I'm your host, Gregory McCoy. This podcast is by a fan for fans. I am not a journalist. I am not a reporter. I am not an insider. I do not work for a website. The majority of my information comes from me, in my opinion. Other information comes from the internet. Today is January 18th, 2020, and I got a couple of different segments I want to speak on today as it pertains to Florida State football. So let's go ahead and jump right in. The 2019 LSU Tigers won the national championship. So they're considered one of the best teams in history. So I wanted to compare them to our championship teams. And that'll be 1993, 1999, and 2013. I did a brief comparison on each, and then I picked a winner. So I'll go ahead and start with the 1993 team. And this is what I wrote about that. 2019 LSU Tigers versus the 1993 Florida State Seminoles. This would be a fun matchup. Charlie Ward versus Joe Burrow. The offenses would be prolific. I feel like LSU's offense is a little bit better than Florida State's offense. The 93 Noles, to me, had a better defense than the LSU Tigers, 2019 LSU Tigers. The Florida Gators used to run a similar type offense that the 2019 LSU Tigers currently run back in 1993. So I think Florida State would be prepared for what the LSU Tigers bring to the table. But in the end, I think Florida State would lose this game 38-28 in a shootout. That 1993 team was a great team. But I just don't think they could beat this LSU team. I just think the LSU team has superior athletes. And, it pains me to say that, but that's just how I feel. So I'm going to move on to the 1999 team. 2019 LSU Tigers versus the 1999 Florida State Seminoles. This matchup would be an absolute shootout. Both offenses have everything you could ask for. To me, LSU has the better defense in this matchup. Chris Winkie and Joe Burrow can get whatever they want through the air. LSU has the better ground game. Bobby Bowden is the better coach. Darryl Stingley Jr. versus Peter Warrick would be a fun matchup to see. Florida State's defensive line versus LSU's offensive line would be fun to see. Florida State's running game was okay. The LSU wide receivers would toast the Florida State secondary. I give the edge to LSU 44-24. Too much offense for Florida State to handle. Now, Virginia Tech put up 26 points on this Florida State defense in the national championship in that year 2000 game. Michael Vick. And Michael Vick was a prolific runner. He wasn't a prolific passer. Joe Burrow is a prolific passer. So I just feel like Joe Burrow would, have his way with that secondary and those receivers, Chason and Jefferson, and I forget the other guy's name. I just feel like they're superior athletes to what we have in the secondary on that 1999 team. So moving on to the 2013 Florida State Seminole team versus the 2019 LSU Tigers. This particular Florida State football team had a bunch of dogs on it. Joyner, Smith, Edwards, Goldman, Ramsey, Williams, Jernigan. Burrow would be under duress in this game. Florida State secondary matches up with the LSU wide receivers. Telvin Smith can cover Thaddeus Moss. FSU's offense led by Winston, Freeman, O'Leary, Shaw, Green, Benjamin. That would be, those guys versus Dalpich, Stingley, and Divinity. That would be very awesome to see. In the end, I would pick Florida State to win this game, 38-28 in a dogfight to the end. The 2013 team matches up very well with this 2019 LSU Tigers team. Athlete for athlete, we match up very well with them. So I would pick Florida State to win this game. So let me know what you think about those three comparisons in the comments. I would greatly appreciate it. Next, I wanted to talk about the Luke Kuechly retirement. Again, the Carolina Panthers are my hometown team. They're not my favorite team, but they are the hometown team, so I do keep up with them. Luke Kuechly retiring does not surprise me. I think he waited too long to retire. This man suffered numerous concussions. I'm glad he had the courage to get out the game while he still had his health intact. CTE is no joke. We have heard stories over the years about players committing suicide from CTE. When he was carted off the field several years ago and he was crying, I thought that was the time to call it quits. I wish him a healthy life. He was a great player. I respect these guys that put health over fame, fortune, and football. You only get one life. So, he's made millions playing this game. I'm pretty sure that he has saved his money wisely. He seems like a very intelligent man, and I wish him nothing but the best. And again, I applaud him for putting health over fame, fortune, and football. So I'm going to move on to the next segment, which is college all-star games. What are your thoughts on college all-star games? Obviously, if you're trying to boost your NFL stock and it's in question, you play in these games. They are usually coached by NFL coaching staffs. Example, the Senior Bowl. If you have good practices and you have a good game, one of those NFL staffs might draft you. Usually first rounders don't play in these games. Sometimes playing in these games works against you. All in all, I watch them sometimes just to see, what the players are going to do and how they're going to boost their stock. The only one I really pay attention to is the Senior Bowl. I know back in the day they had one called the Hula Bowl that was in Hawaii, I think. But sometimes, like I think Carson Palmer back in the day played in it to boost his stock, but he was a consensus top 5 pick when he came out of USC. Sometimes these seniors are playing the games, but if you're like a junior and you know that you're going first, I wouldn't do it. I would definitely not do it. Next segment. Will Joe Burrow be a good pro quarterback? I think he will be. He showed me a lot of moxie in the national championship against Clemson. He threw for 463 yards against a Venables coordinated defense. I don't know if you guys keep up with Venables, but I do. anytime he faces an elite quarterback, Matt Leinart, Jameis Winston, and now Joe Burrow, he doesn't do too well. It looks like Joe Burrow is going to go to the Bengals. I like it. It's just a question of what are you going to put around him? Are you going to keep A.J. Green? They got a pretty good running back. If they surround him with a decent offensive line, he should be fine. He's a very intelligent player. Yeah, man. You just give that man time to throw, he'll make the plays. So I don't think it's any question about that. All right. So now we're going to take a deep dive look at Mike Norvell's offense, and here's what I wrote about that. I am not an X's and O's guru. I look at his stuff on YouTube and just give my opinion as a fan. Mike Norvell does too much east and west running plays for my taste. The more north and south runs would be nice, assuming Florida State gets better offensive line play. He runs some north and south stuff. The backs he had were quick to the hole on those plays. Norvell has stated that the tight end is featured in this offense. I haven't seen it yet. To me, his scheme is similar to what Browse runs this past season. ACC competition is better than AAC competition, in my opinion. What worked there might not work in the ACC. The quarterback has to be very accurate in this offense, and he has to be somewhat mobile. I admire the confidence of the offensive coordinator Dillingham, but those numbers that he stated in his interview might not translate to the ACC. Might not translate to ACC play. Some RPO and read option concepts, along with some West Coast offense concepts. Running backs must be able to catch the ball out of the backfield. Offensive line must be athletic. All right, so as I'm recording this, I'm looking at some video on YouTube, and I'm just seeing that, hey, the quarterback has to be a player now in this offense. You can't just, be a statue back there. You got to be able to move. So I don't know if Blackman is the guy. The dude Brady White is a little bit more mobile than Blackman. I'm looking at the 2016 game, Memphis versus USF, and a lot of RPO, a lot of read option. I mean, this looks very similar to what Browse run. They run some screens. Browse didn't run a lot of screens. They do a lot of quick hitch stuff. Quarterback has to be mobile. And James Blackman is not very mobile, as I stated. They do a lot of dump offs. So, the quarterback has to be a heady player. One north-south run right here I just seen. All right. Running back has to, I guess what Dillingham was saying was pretty accurate. Like, again, the quarterback has to be able to, be a player. But in any offense, you got to have an offensive line. All this stuff that they're talking might translate to the field. But you got to have great line play. So, the guys that we currently have on the roster might translate, they might not. We'll see. That's going to do it for today's episode. It's available. This podcast is available on YouTube. It's available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify Podcasts. If you're listening to this on YouTube, please go down to the description, click on one of the links, and rate, review, and subscribe. And as always, go Noles.